Hi there, I'm Stephanie. If you're new to the channel, you're very welcome here. While this is a lifestyle channel, I do want to include cooking specifically because I worked as a private chef for the rich and famous for a decade. I had to stop, unfortunately, for health reasons. In this video series, I will show you just a few of their favorite dishes and how I make them. The videos are a companion to the upcoming book of recipes and maybe a little bit more in there in the very near future. If you want to sign up on my website linked below, you can be alerted when it's available. It's a link that's only about the cookbook, so you won't be sent anything else other than that alert. Now, before I get into this video, I'm stating the obvious here. None of this is budget friendly or diet friendly, but all of it is crazy delicious. In episode 1, I'm making the salad. This is what I would call my house salad, and it is a composed salad. And a composed salad really is just a series of ingredients that are generally artfully plated, also generally eaten with a fork and knife, as opposed to a salad that the ingredients have been tossed together. The foundation for this salad is a fried green tomato, or 2 slices, depending on the size available. And let me tell you, this salad would stress me out. This would be a dish I would serve for a dinner party. So in addition to being a private chef, you can also do work as a party chef, which is for specific events, which I did also. And when you have a menu for an event planned, it's generally set quite a bit of time before the actual party happens. And who knows if green tomatoes will be available. They cannot be bought in advance because they end up turning red, and you don't know what that timetable is going to be. So that's why it would stress me out. All right, so let's look at the ingredients. I've got shallots, goat cheese, soft goat cheese that is, some breading, a balsamic reduction, very soft, neutral flavored lettuce. Think about something like mesclun. Frisee is really nice if it's available, or a butter or a Boston type lettuce. No spring mix that might surprise you with something like radicchio or arugula in there that's going to really interfere with the other flavors on the plate. You also see some crispy onions. So the first step, and this step can be done in advance, is to candy the shallots. So they get peeled and sliced up, and when they're being peeled, you really need to go that extra step and look for the leathery bits on there. I call them the gristle of the onion. It's very unpleasant to chew on when you're eating. So trim those away. And it gets sliced not too thin. I would say about 1/3 of an inch. And I'm only doing a small amount because I'm not doing this for an actual party. And it's really nice that I can sit down and eat a plate of it myself. A lot of these dishes I cook for other people and plate them, and I know they taste good because I'm tasting it while I'm cooking, but I don't actually get to sit down and enjoy it like a guest would. So in a frying pan, and I'm using a small one, equal parts avocado oil. It needs to be a very neutral flavored oil. Olive oil will overpower this. And butter. So the oil will stop the butter from burning, but also the butter adds a nice richness. And it doesn't have to be completely melted because the shallots and the butter and oil will be spending a lot of time together. This is over low heat for about 20 to 25 minutes. And it's just going to sweat down, get a little bit of color, but not too much. They're not meant to be crispy. And I add a little bit of salt. That helps the process. And this is 20 minutes later, maybe 25. Then I add regular balsamic vinegar and let it reduce till it gets a little bit syrupy. And that doesn't take very long, maybe another 3 to 4 minutes. And if for some reason it's not sweet enough, I will add a little bit of white sugar and cook it some more, because the sweetness level here is extremely important. They need to be candied, not just caramelized. Now I make my house dressing. And the garlic clove really needs to be pressed for this, not chopped up, and not the culinary crime is pre-chopped garlic. Absolutely no, that has no place in my world. But if you like it, use that. Just don't use that in this dressing. And mostly to taste. You can mix this. I'll have measurements in the cookbook for a proper amount, but I'm just making a small example of this dish to show you today. And then rice vinegar or champagne vinegar. It needs to be a very light vinegar. Champagne vinegar can be a little tricky to find. So I'm going to heat the oil to fry the tomatoes, and while that heats up I always use medium heat. It doesn't cook too fast or too slow. It's just enough to keep whatever I'm frying from getting greasy. And I get the salad plates ready with the lettuce and the dressing, because once the tomatoes are done, it's ready to be plated. This is not a cold salad. It's not a hot salad either. It's more of a room temperature, I would say. So I'm using butter lettuce and just artfully arrange it. And a small amount of dressing over it. It really doesn't need a lot, because everything else that goes on top is going to be so flavorful. Now to prepare the tomatoes. They should be very firm. So the tomatoes are a little bit sour, and the goat cheese and candied shallots really balance that out. And I make relatively thick slices, about 1/2 inch. And I plan on 2 slices per portion, and if I can find the really big green tomatoes, I only use 1 big thick beefsteak slice. I've had some guests come to me when they were raving about the salad, wondering if it was an artichoke. Unless you're told this is a green tomato, you may not know that. So I'm going to season just some regular all-purpose flour and dip the tomatoes in that first. And I'm using panko breadcrumbs for the crunch. And they don't have any added flavor to interfere with everything else that's going on top. The salad has a lot of texture and a lot of flavor. It's very complex. It's delicious, absolutely delicious. So flour both sides, tap off the extra, just trying to get a little bit of a base built up here to get a nice crust. And then the beaten egg with just a little bit of water. and the panko. And they cook until they're about a medium brown. Takes about 3 minutes on each side, so they're still a little bit firm, warmed through, and a crispy crust. Alright, so now I'm going to plate. So clean hands, 2 tomatoes, and then I break off kind of roughly with a fork the goat cheese. I would say almost an ounce per serving. And the candied shallots are room temperature. And if you make it in advance and put it in the fridge, bring it to room temperature before you plate the next day. So I'm cleaning off my fingers of the goat cheese over at the sink before I start putting on the candied shallots. I have to wipe the edges because nobody's paying me to give them messy plates. So I'm going to be pretty generous with the shallots. They really, I know the green tomato looks like the star. No, it's these onions. They're sweet. There's a little bit of tartness from the vinegar. My mouth may or may not be watering talking about this. And then the balsamic reduction goes over top artfully, however you want to put it or put it. And because it's a party, we're going to gild the lily with crispy onions. And this adds more texture and more flavor. And then it's ready to be served. And that's how I make my house salad. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll probably do, maybe 8, possibly 10. And maybe I'll see you next time.